I remember the first time I heard myself properly, I was like, nah. I was Barry White in my head. And then suddenly I was very Barry Beige.
Barry Beige.
I know you as a runner, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
But baker, illustrator, candlestick maker. Talk to me about being a multifaceted person. What does that look like to you?
It's a big, beautiful mess sometimes.
Mm.
And you often don't stop thinking or doing. And maybe sometimes you wish you had more time to just stop and reflect, but you just also feel a bit more alive when you do lots of things.
For sure.
And then maybe you want one day every so often where you do barely anything, and that's quite cleansing and gives you time to appreciate the things you're doing. Sometimes I wish I had less plates spinning so I could do certain things stronger and give them more emphasis, but I think I just get really excited by different things and variety. I worry that I get bored otherwise. You might want to do more solitary things or be more introverted for a day, and then you've got more extrovert juice, if that makes sense. Working in a coffee shop definitely takes a lot of your extrovert side up, but I love it. I bounce around the room and I really enjoy that. But then there's a switch in the brain sometimes like, okay, need to do some alone stuff now. And then running might come into that, or baking, or, you know, I think every hobby feeds into each one.
Find it hard to turn the creative tap off. Really?
Yeah.
What was that?
It was actually the other way around. It was that I was struggling to turn it on.
Okay.
I think I'd always sort of separated the art side and the work sort of coffee side in my head. I mean, them two are the two pillars in terms of actual job. You could call them hobbies because I like them, but I take them very seriously. And I thought there were two different taps. And when I wasn't in the coffee shop, I could just be creative and just expect it to come out of me. And I think recently having a realisation that it's not so quick to access always, and if there's a clog in the tap because work's been stressful or more, then I can't access this water on the other side because it's connected to the same mains, isn't it? So it's about finding space to relax and decompress, and then eventually it will come out. Or it's about, when you do feel creative, being very deliberate and getting all out of you. When you don't, accept that you can't and just fill your cup up instead in other ways.
Yeah. You described running like that as well, haven't you, almost, that running is a way for you to turn off. So when I asked you if you periodised your training, you're like, no, I don't really do that. I run to run.
Running is definitely a way to switch off the brain for me. And I think that purity is something I never want to lose. Even if I progress with times and doing better in races, I just don't want to lose that feeling of just, I do this for this.
With running as something that you are obviously good at, gifted at, something that you enjoy doing but do to a level, how do you keep it playful while also progressing it?
I think that's maybe where in recent years joining a club has come into play.
Okay.
That's mixed up the way I do it a lot and what else it brings to me. The community side of it, there's a lot more variables there. You know, people have become real life friends and there might be little offshoot runs with just them. There's been trips. I mean, we've been to Gdansk with the run club. I've been to Italy and Belfast with two friends in particular. I actually travelled with them as a third wheel both times and it's been a joyous thing. I went to Italy for the first time with them too, the most romantic city in the world. But like that adds some playfulness for sure.
For sure.
When I guess before that I was always running on my own for many years, and it would be not uniform but a little bit more just the same kind of style. There's so much more variety now, and every week there's always runs going off. If anything, it's trying to like work out what you can do because you can't do everything. You know, you
said as we were walking over that part of the reason you got into running was because you didn't want to be late coming home.
At that point it was very different. Call it running would be a little bit of an exaggeration. It was just like my first girlfriend when I was 17. I just liked to kind of run home, maybe just out of elation, I think, a little bit of joy, and I'd just see if I could run the whole way over time without stopping, and it became more easy. When we broke up, I then took to it properly and it just became natural for me. It was a healing mechanism at first, make the head feel better. And then it was a realisation that like, okay, this is always got to be something that makes the head feel better no matter what. That's the main focus. And then just grow from there. And then when I moved for university, despite the hills, I kept on doing it. And I've never, after 11 years in total, had a period where I haven't ran at all.
The thing that I'm picking up on a lot with you is that running is as much for your head as it is for your fitness.
Yeah.
And it feels like you've had that early association with it. You know, you describe running home because you were elated, and you describe running because it helps you switch off.
Yeah.
when I think about fitness, I'm thinking about the physical, the mental, spiritual, emotional side of it. How do you feel that you balance that? It sounds to me intuitively that you've got it.
I wish I could give you a perfect answer that I do really think about it, but I think I don't, and maybe that's the trick a little bit, just to allow the thing to do its thing and feel your way through, and it will work itself out for you. I think the spiritual side is maybe in a way the most important side, despite the physical seeming the most obvious to people. That's just going to happen by default. You're going to get fitter, I think, but the spiritual side really helps you in other areas in life too. Like when you're happy in one place, it starts to feed into other areas, you know, in your being. Because whilst like running seems to be everyone's whole personality now, it is only a couple hours of our day, you know, at best, isn't it?
It should be.
It should be. But it's taken the world by storm now. It's like the current zeitgeist, isn't it?
I was surprised that 0.1% of people apparently in the world have run a marathon. And each
0.1?
year, 0.1% apparently.
Wow.
And 0.01% run a marathon every year.
That's so few.
0.5% of Irish people run every year, and that's the best represented population in the stats that I've come across.
There's some good Irish runners.
So yeah, what do you think it is? Why does it feel like everybody is running? Is that because we're more aware of it?
It's probably an echo chamber we surround ourselves in.
Yeah.
I think we just hang out with these people. I guess there's numerous people who walk past on the street and we don't know, and they may or may not run. We just surround ourselves with these people and feed off each other probably. I hope them numbers start to go up. If there's even space on the streets, if everyone started running, I don't know. More parks maybe?
More parks, that'd be great, wouldn't it? What's a type 1 runner for people who might not be aware?
So type 1 is supposedly someone who always enjoys it. Type 2 is someone who enjoys it after the fact, so when the endorphins kick in, which is still a good thing for any runner. Type 3 is when you don't ever, but you just do it anyway, which is very noble and maybe deserves the most credit of any of the three. But yeah, I would say I'm type 1 most of the time. I don't know about you.
I would say maybe type 2 running then, based on that, and then lifting weights to me is a type 1 thing. I would like to think that it will change as I get into it, and maybe with greater proficiency and ability, it'll pick up.
If I ever do weights or hit workouts, that's more type 3 for me.
Okay.
Like, it's alright, but I don't love it. It takes some push to make myself do it. I just find myself not as stimulated. I feel more contained in a small space.
Yeah.
Whereas with running, I feel very free.
With that stimulation, we were talking about running with music, weren't we?
I've got a playlist that I've had for the whole 11 years I've been running, and I just add to it as I hear a song that feels appropriate. And I always press shuffle whatever race I'm doing, or a fast-paced training run, and it's total guesswork what you're going to get. It could be like some pop bop from when you were growing up, it could be a house party anthem, it could be anything. But they can help pull you through races when them old songs come on, because there's that little nostalgia thing in some of the older ones, and it can just distract you from it long enough to feel good again.
You talked about how in some races, or maybe when you do these long runs, particularly the marathons, that you feel every emotion.
Yeah.
What's that feeling like?
I don't know what the average finish time is, but we're talking hours and hours on feet, aren't we? And you know, there's points where you're going to feel the best thing ever. There's points where you're going to feel like you can't do it. And I've been there too. Like, I think whatever time you do, like, it's impressive to finish one, first of all. But you're going to struggle at some point. I mean, even the people winning it are going to struggle at some point. They might not show it, they might look composed, but they're going to go in that place. And I think I'd really like to hear them speak more candidly about these kind of side of things, like the emotional, spiritual sides of it.
Is there a runner that you can think of that does, for people who might be interested in that?
I mean, to be fair, the GOAT himself, Kipchoge, is quite honest about things and about, like, letting go and just feeling the pain. He talks about the pain cave quite a bit. And about just, like, feel every bit of it, like, channel it, let yourself be. There's
a conversation I've just had with a senior researcher at the University of Bern, and he talks about in ultra endurance athletes this ability to tolerate pain, but also maybe seek it out.
Sounds a bit messed up somehow, doesn't it? But also at the same time, there is something almost primal and alive about it. And I think that's maybe the thing that's the funnest thing about going fast sometimes, is that you feel very much like what humans might have felt like once more.
For sure.
Because like we live in a consumer ease kind of period of being. Like the things that are hard for us, the first world problems would not make no sense to someone from an earlier time. and we don't have these moments where we really push ourselves as much and strive like that in a physical sense. And running might be that in a way now, like the modern version. And whilst it's horrible at times in them moments, it's also kind of joyous and free, you know, if that makes sense.
I think it does. It's probably something that you've got to feel. What goes through your head in those moments where you're pushing? If you are aware of, say, a niggle. In my half marathon, I was aware of my left hip seizing up. My right knee didn't feel great.
Your form changed, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I knew that I was going to finish it.
Of course.
I
like,
had to
hear
finish
you
it.
like I'm finishing.
Yeah, and it was, my head was absolutely clear, but for the first time my body was not working in a way that I wanted it to. How do you handle it? Is it a head thing? Is it a body thing? Do you holistically talk to yourself in a way?
It depends where in the race you're at. It depends if you're on your own. It depends on like how much fuel you've got left, all sorts of things. But maybe if I could give you an example, when I did London Marathon this year, from mile 9, which is probably about 14k to you people who talk in k. I'm quite old school. My dad got me into mile talking. I felt some pain in my area there too, and it was like a pulling feeling. I also felt like both my tendons behind my knees were kind of shot.
Yeah.
And this is very early days into a marathon, but I was lucky enough to be running with 2 other fellas, and we were like a little wolf pack.
Okay.
And I think what helped was having them beside me and feeling like we're on a mission together. It kept me accountable. And the initial feeling you could get from that in a race could be frustration. Like, why is my body letting me down now when I've come to this day, I've done all this training? And I think you almost have to cast that aside a little bit and have a bit more resolve, that you've built up some resilience in this time and you can get through this. Yeah. And you just almost compartmentalize things. It's still there, but it's in the background maybe. And then if it comes again, it's like you have to have another talk with yourself and keep reminding yourself. I got to a point where I was just taking gels every so often, and I break it down into little landmarks in my mind where they'll give me a boost. Yeah. And it might have been placebo, but they're going to give me a boost, and it's going to be in 4 miles or so long, and it'll keep on going until you get closer and closer. You just don't know when them things are going to come across in a race, though. There's always curveballs.
Always curveballs. And it almost feels that that is a metaphor for living. That was such a satisfying crunch. We're definitely keeping that.
Sorry, I've never taken so long to eat an apple in my life.
Don't waste it. Marathons as then a metaphor for life. Do you find that you are able to talk yourself through moments? Are you a good coach? Are you a harsh coach?
Well, I've got this far. I made it to the sofa, so I must have been all right.
Yeah.
I've done a fair amount of races now. I can't remember how many, so that's something. I mean, I think we're all human, and there's moments where you don't perform as well, you beat yourself up a bit. I think in running it's maybe easier than in real life sometimes to do that, because your tasks are simpler. In a way, you're just running is the primary sole focus, that's all you're doing. Your things are broken down to just one. Whereas in day-to-day life, it's like you've got so many things you're balancing, and it's sometimes difficult to just focus. I think you worry about too many different things. But because running is so all-consuming in the moment in a race, it's really refreshing. Like, it simplifies you as a human for a number of hours, and you can really just put yourself into it.
Outside of that, you're illustrating and you're working as a barista. You know, your time is filled, and it's not like you're just focusing on the running. Can you apply that same ideology almost to everything else?
There's a little element of like realising that nothing's in your control. Even in running, like, you can do all the training and get to the point, and you don't know what's going to happen, but you just do the best you can. And I think in day-to-day life, like in a coffee shop with the art world and the commissions and trying to be freelance and make it work in this current climate, there's so much that's not in your control, and you just got to have that acceptance that you just do the best you can and keep putting feelers out and seeds out and then wait for them to grow. In a normal life, it's hard to see what's ahead of you. The finish line isn't there. You don't know what the end bit's going to be. You're just working it out. And that can be a bit overwhelming sometimes, but I think if you just have that level of acceptance about what's going to happen isn't obvious, then it's easier. But you can have moments sometimes when you spin a lot of plates and wear a lot of hats like us, where maybe you don't have much set out in front of you and you can't really picture things. That can be quite taxing. It's just about getting away from that overwhelm, I think, as best you can. Yeah. And then the running comes in again to distract you and calm you down.
If anybody were to ask you what you do, what I want to be is what I'm doing, therefore I am. So when you're running, you're a runner. When you're working, you're an illustrator. How do you build that identity? How do you have the confidence to say that you're an illustrator now?
I mean, there's a time as a student, which is like 5 years ago I graduated, where you don't really quite class yourself as one, maybe because you feel like it's all about the accreditation. I less go behind that now. It's great to have one, but I don't think it's soul defining. I think maybe when I went a sole trader legal sense, that helps me feel a bit more like, okay, well, I actually literally am now. I'm literally a sole trader. Yeah. Or maybe just certain jobs coming through. I mean, I've done various different portraits and various different architectural buildings in the city for people and small businesses. But last year I got to do a book for a critic. I'm not going to name drop because I don't feel like it's about that. It's just about the fact of the matter. And that made me feel very, very happy because it was like, okay, someone slightly bigger has noticed me. And that was kind of a seed planted years before and then came back to grow. And that's kind of going back to what I said about planting seeds. Yeah. Like you do it all the time just by how you are with the best intentions of people. And you never know when they're going to come through, but they might well come through at some point when you don't expect. It's just about constantly like having that philosophy of meeting people and being genuine. Despite working in a customer facing job, I've never been, I've never had a persona. I've always just been quite real until I can't be real and I'm a bit quieter. Whilst I say I'd like to be a full freelance illustrator, I think working in coffee does bring a lot into my life. It brings like a real understanding of people. I serve all sorts of folk and I get to know a lot of them. Worked there 3 years, so some customers have become like an everyday occurrence, and some you wouldn't want to see every day, but lots have become almost friends in a way. I've ran with some of them. Some have asked me to help them with things, and it's community in a different way. Like there's community in the run club I'm in, there's community in the coffee shop, and we get that for free just by simply extending things out and being quite honest with people and genuine.
There seems to be something about caffeine, getting out, walking, running, and having community and living a good life.
It's a triangle.
Yeah. Is that an actual triangle?
In my mind.
Is there like a dream venue in your head, a dream project that represents you?
A little vision of the petrol station, but for runners. Yeah. So I expect and kind of hope most of the people that come in are sweaty runners, and they're coming in before, after, during. After the day shift, the baristas are all runners of some description. And we might lead runs after everyday service as well. Yeah. So then it really creates a community. I think that'd be quite a nice thing. There could be space for that in a city. It's difficult to say, but I think that could be quite nice.
Yeah, I like the way that you even said everyday service then. It's almost like a church.
Yeah, if you want. Like your baristas are your preachers and then the customers are the choir. I don't know.
It feels like it's just making itself.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know what it'd be called yet. It's just an idea.
Okay, cool. Royalties, 10% go to us on this sofa before we get a chance to make it, yeah?
Okay, but please come to the dream place.
Yeah, hopefully the idea doesn't get pinched. What would you like to talk about?
I think the mental health thing is nice to dig into because I think for a lot of people, and it again links to community, running can be good for loneliness with people. Sometimes you can feel very lonely in the world, despite all the social media and how connected it presents us to be. I think in a way we're more detached from people and socialising than ever. And every time I go to the run club, I feel better about the world and everything else. Every time. Even after 3 years in the club, even when it's changed and it's got a lot more meat on the bones than it used to have, it's still a special thing. This is Runhappy. I joined when there was about 10 people on every average run and 50 in the main chat. And now it's about 50 on every run and 600 in the main chat.
Wow.
But the pillars are generally the same and it's so good for the head. And I think other people would say the same. And this is not a plug to go to the club. This is just a plug to maybe join one if you like running and you feel lonely at points because it will change things for you. Some of the things I've done with these people, I've never done with any friends ever before. I've been on holiday with people, I've done races with them, I've gone to their family homes and stuff. It's become such a life thing, a core thing. And I always ran alone and that felt normal to me. Yeah. And now it would feel very strange for me not to run with a club every week as well.
That's huge. The social aspect is something that I don't have in my training. And
you should come down.
I think I would be really up for it. How would I go about joining a club? Is it a case of knowing how quick I am? What would I need to...
None of that. Yeah. It's none of that stuff. Okay. Not at all. It's insignificant. I mean, there's lots of talented runners. There's lots of people who are doing their first ever runs. It's just about being together and having a nice run together. And then the coffee comes in and stuff. So there really is a triangle, or whatever shape that is. I'm going to eat it after, I think. I don't think no one needs to see that.
It looks so good. I can't believe you've not dug in yet.
Discipline, you know, and that's a part. I think I won't go into it too much because it's quite sensitive and quite recent stuff, but our club recently lost somebody due to ending their life. And if anything, it's been galvanising to bring people together and talking as well.
Yeah.
I think just talking about everything is great, and running can be an access to that and a way to talk to people in a like low pressure environment. We did like a PB day at the track the other day at the club.
Okay.
And it was really joyous after all that to kind of all be together and push each other on around the track. And it was a 5k PB, and that's 12 and a half laps, which is not nothing, around one track.
Yeah.
Very difficult. I was a pacer and actually failed dismally. I went too fast, but it's difficult to kind of like judge it when everyone's behind you and it's a hot day and you've never done 12 laps around a track before. But it was a beautiful day. There was so much celebration. It was cool. It was full of alcohol-free beers. There's that Erdinger stuff you get at the end of the races. Yeah, it was great.
It sounds a lovely way to remember someone, but then also to kind of reinforce that notion that this is a community, this is a social thing, this is part of being fit, is being out in the world.
Being together.
Yeah.
Like, humans should be together, I think, as much as they can be.
Outside of the run clubs, I was really impressed with Parkrun the first time I did that. It was amazing, just the volunteers there, the people wearing there. You've got your different number of races on the
200, 500, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
That's
amazing. Discipline too, but it's a low-key one because everyone's together doing it together, and you can do it however you want. Is Hillsborough the only one you've done, or have you done other ones?
I think I've only done Hillsborough and...
Very loyal.
The half marathon, yeah, I can only do Hillsborough now. Owls till I die. I've not travelled with it, but hearing about the tourists that they announce at the start of every run is really cool as well.
Yeah.
So there were people actually from Middlesbrough at the Hillsborough run. And it was nice to know that there were people who would travel to be a volunteer or to be in the race. And I think in the gym you don't have that same opportunity for community. Because
no. Do you think there's more stigmas in the gym with approaching people and trying to talk to people? Is it more of a private thing?
I would like to think that I have no fear going up to people. But as somebody who has been approached when I've been really focused, and I understand that, you know, for some of my mates who have been approached by people who aren't wanting something to do with the gym necessarily, you know.
It's just their private domain to, you know, their temple, if you like.
That's it. They might not have headphones on or in, but they might have their hood up, or even if they don't, you know, if somebody's focused on the set and they say that they don't want to talk, then that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I guess you just don't know.
You just don't know where people are up to. But it does feel like maybe with social media, cameras everywhere, I get why people might feel observed and might not want people to come up to them. Even as somebody who is qualified, who has worked with people in person and, you know, gotten clients from conversations based on, hey, look, I noticed that you were doing this, have you tried doing that? Yeah, I don't know how to answer the question. I think for me, it is a case of I go there to do what you do on your runs where you just need to run. It is to clear my head, it is therapy as much as it is practice and getting better and getting stronger and all of that good stuff. So yeah, I think that for me, both running and lifting weights have been solitary.
Gyms could introduce a cafe and people can go into it after in certain hours and talk if they want to. They do their really sort of diligent task for an hour. Yeah. And then if they feel social, if they're of that persuasion, then they can go to this cafe and talk after. And it becomes similar to the running community in that sense, but they can still do their task and not be disturbed. Because there'll be some people in there that will want to talk maybe, but again, you don't know. And it's a calculated risk to approach someone, I guess. Yeah. And you don't ever want to upset someone, that's the fear. We live in an age where you would like to talk to more people and meet people, but you don't want to upset someone or make someone feel uncomfortable. And it's a difficult decision to make, it's perplexing. Do I say something? Oh, I don't want to creep them out, but you know, I just want to talk.
I've taken the approach at my current gym to not approach people, even with the best intention. Yeah. Just because, I hear more and more of people not wanting it and just wanting to be there to work out, and I completely respect that. Yeah. But when I was running this half marathon in May, I found myself falling in step with strangers.
Nice.
and there was this lovely moment where a lad that I'd been running with for, you know, maybe 2 miles started falling back, and all I could do was say, "Go on, lad, you got this."
Nice.
And I heard, "We got it, lad."
Nice.
And we kind of went toe to toe, back and
Love
forth.
that. That's what it's all about.
And he followed me on Strava afterwards, sent a message just like, "Great to run with you."
That's my favourite thing.
That was class.
Adding people on Strava after a race.
Yeah.
The lesser spoken about benefits of races. You know, because whoever you finish with is going to be a similar level to you, and you haven't yet met them in life. And then you've now got them, and you see their posts every week, and it's quite motivating, you know, to feel people are running the same kind of stuff as you, and you feel less crazy sometimes.
Jack, when it comes to what you're about, your illustration, your running, where should people go if they want to know more about you, to follow your journey?
You can always find me in the coffee shop. I'm in Elm, but if they want to see some art, it's Mdale Art on Instagram.
Okay.
I'll just talk to people about anything really, but if I can do anything that would help them, then just let me know.
Perfect. We'll drop the links in the description, and yeah, really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. Cheers.